Good afternoon and welcome to BeeTv News on the Hour. I am Evelyn Izibili, and now to the news in details. Parts of the White House East Wing have been demolished as construction begins on President Donald Trump's new $250 million ballroom project. The president described the development as a fully modernized addition that will be built near but not attached to the main structure. Trump said the privately funded ballroom will serve as a space for grand events and state visits, calling it a long-awaited upgrade to the historic building. The project, led by Clark Construction and MC Cray Architect, has stirred controversy among historians and preservationists. Critics, including former National Park Service Chief Historian Robert K. Sutton, warned that the construction appears to bypass the usual review and design approval processes required for changes to national landmark. They expressed concern that the project prioritizes Trump's personal style over the White House historical integrity. The Society of Architecture Historians and the American Institute of Architects have also voiced alarm, noting this will be the most significant change to the White House exterior in over 8 decades. Despite the backlash, Trump maintains the renovation will preserve the elegance and importance of the presidential residence, which he calls the People's House. The United States and Australia have signed a major agreement to strengthen their partnership on rare earth and other critical minerals, aiming to reduce reliance on China's dominant market position.
The deal, signed at the White House by President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, supports a pipeline of $8.5 billion in mining and processing projects, including $1 billion to be jointly invested within the next 6 months.
But in the meantime, we're working with Australia and other countries. They're working with us too.
The agreement will fund new projects in both countries, with the U.S. planning to build a 100-ton per year gallium refinery in Western Australia and offer $2.2 billion in financing through its Export-Import Bank. Albanese said the pact would take bilateral cooperation to the next level, promoting investment and coordination on pricing, permitting and company sales within the mineral sector. The move comes as China maintains control of about 70% of rare earth mining and 90% of global processing. The Trump administration says the deal is key to securing supply chains vital for defense and technology industries. Following the announcement, shares of Australian mining companies such as Arafura Rare Earth and Iluka Resources surged, reflecting optimism about future investment and growth in the sector. Harmony Agbafo, reporting for BeeTv News.
South Korean police are seeking an arrest warrant for a woman in her 20s who accidentally started a deadly apartment fire in Ulsan while trying to kill a cockroach with a lighter and flammable spray. The blaze spread rapidly, killing a Chinese woman in her 30s who fell from a 5th-floor window while escaping with her family and injuring 8 others through smoke inhalation. Authorities said the accused could face charges of accidental arson and death by negligence. The case has renewed warnings against using fire or aerosol spray to kill pests, a risky trend fueled by social media videos after similar accidents have caused blaze in other countries. Amazon Web Services (AWS) has resolved a major outage that disrupted thousands of websites and apps around the world on Monday. The disruption affected major platforms including Snapchat, Reddit, and banking services like Lados and Halifax, with more than 11 million users reports logged globally, according to outage tracker Downtector. AWS confirmed late Monday night that all systems had returned to normal operations. The outage, which began around 7 BST PM, was linked to a DNS domain name system issue in Amazon US East 1 region, a key part of its cloud infrastructure. The problem caused widespread connection failure across social media, gaming, and financial platforms, forcing Amazon to temporarily throttle parts of its system while engineers work to identify the root cause. Just a week after U.S. President Donald Trump was hailed in Israel for securing a Gaza ceasefire and brokering a hostage prisoner exchange, the fragile truce is facing its toughest challenge yet. The Israel Defense Force (IDF) launched a wave of strikes across Gaza following the deaths of 2 Israeli soldiers in Rafah, blaming Hamas for the attack. Hamas denied responsibility, claiming it had lost communication with fighters in the area months ago. The escalation led Israel to temporarily suspend aid deliveries. The U.S. intervention reportedly pressured both sides to keep the truce alive. Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner have since returned to the region to reinforce the peace framework and push forward the second phase of Trump's 20-point plan, which involves deploying an international stabilization force, withdrawing Israeli troops, and disarming Hamas. However, the renewed fighting has exposed deep flaws in the ceasefire agreement. Israeli commentators have criticized its vague wording and lack of enforcement mechanism, particularly regarding Hamas fighters in areas under Israeli control. As both sides traded blame, reports emerged as of at least 45 Palestinians killed, including civilians and children, in Israeli airstrike. The violence has reignited grief and anger on the ground, with families mourning loved ones who believe the ceasefire had brought safety. Amid political pressure in Israel and uncertainty in Gaza, Trump's peace plan faces an uphill battle. Mediators in Cairo are now facing to salvage the truce and advance talks on Gaza governance, a critical test for whether the agreements can deliver lasting stability in the region. Sanai Takahashi has made history by becoming Japan's first female prime minister. The 64-year-old woman, conservative, often referred to a Japan Iron Lady, is as known as admirer of former UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. This marks her third bid for the country's top judge, as she becomes the 4th leader in 5 years from the scandal-plagued Liberal Democratic Party (LDP). Sanai Takahashi is part of the hardline faction within the Liberal Democratic Party (LDP) and was a protege of the late former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Previously, Donald Trump praised her as a highly respected person of great wisdom. Now that she has been elected, Takahashi faces major challenges, including revitalizing Japan's sluggish economy, managing a strained U.S.-Japan relationship, and bringing unity to a fractured ruling party.
裁判仮議席の通りに指定いたします。この際、新たに議席に就かれました議員を紹介いたします。第122番東北選挙区選出議員原田正宏君。第123番九州選挙区選出議員丸尾圭介君。日程第2 会期の件につきお諮りをいたします。今回の臨時会の会期は12月17日まで58日間といたしたいと思います。これに賛成の諸君の起立を求めます。起立多数、よって会期は58日間とすることに決まりました。常任委員長辞任の件につきお諮りをいたします。総務委員長、竹内譲君、法務委員長、西村智奈美君、環境委員長、近藤昭一君、安全保障委員長、遠藤隆君、国家基本政策委員長、泉健太君、決算行政監視委員長、鈴木義弘君および懲罰委員長、菊田真彦君から、それぞれ常任委員長を辞任いたしたいとの申し出があります。これを許可するにご異議ありませんか。ご異議なしと認めます。よって許可することに決まりました。つきましては、総務委員長ほか6常任委員長の選挙を行うのでありますけれども、すでに予算委員長が欠員となっておりますので、この際、総務委員長ほか7常任委員長の選挙を行います。議長鈴木隼人君。
各常任委員長の選挙は、その手続きを省略して、議長によって指名されることを望みます。
鈴木隼人君の動議にご異議ありませんか。ご異議なしと認めます。よって動議のとおり決まりました。議長は各常任委員長を指名いたします。総務委員長、佐藤秀道君。
Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy arrived at La Santé prison in Paris on Tuesday to begin serving a 5-year sentence for conspiring to illegally finance his campaign with funds from Libya. A dramatic fall from grace for the leader who governed France from 2007 to 2012. Earlier in the day, he left his home hand in hand with his wife, Carlia Bruni, while supporters gathered around him, chanting Nicolas, Nicolas, and singing the French national anthem, La Marseillaise.
Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy entered prison in Paris on Tuesday to begin serving a 5-year sentence, becoming the first former president of modern France to be incarcerated. He was seen leaving his home in the morning, waving to supporters before being driven under heavy police escort to La Santé prison in southern Paris. Sarkozy was convicted last month of criminal conspiracy for his role in illegally financing his 2007 presidential campaign with funds from Libya, allegedly in exchange for diplomatic favors. Though he planned to appeal the verdict, he will remain in custody in the meantime, likely housed either in solitary confinement or in La Santé's VIP wing, which is reserved for inmates considered vulnerable in the general population, such as politicians, ex-police, or those linked to extremist groups. In a statement posted to X shortly after his departure, Sarkozy insisted on his innocence, saying, "As I prepare to step inside the walls of La Santé's prison, my thoughts go out to the French people of all walks of life and opinions. It's not a former president being locked up this morning, it's an innocent man." He also condemned this situation as a judicial scandal and expressed sorrow for what he called France's humiliation by an act of vengeance driven by hatred. Still, he added that he is not seeking pity, noting the support of his family and friends. Favor Kolawole reporting for BeeTv News.
European leaders from Britain, France, Germany, and the European Union joined Ukraine on Tuesday in a joint statement supporting U.S. President Donald Trump's call for a ceasefire along the current front lines.
European leaders voiced strong support on Tuesday for an immediate ceasefire in Russia against Ukraine along current front lines, urging the launch of peace talks in the efforts to revive momentum towards ending the prolonged conflict. The joint statement comes shortly after U.S. President Donald Trump announced plans to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Hungary in coming weeks to discuss the war. Now in its fourth year, Trump has urged both sides to agree to a ceasefire and intimate negotiation, while recently expressing skepticism about Ukraine's chance of defeating Russia. Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky has endorsed the proposal to freeze the conflict along existing battle lines. I was a signatory to Tuesday's statement. Other leaders backing the initiative include German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, French President Emmanuel Macron, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and European Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen. Several European leaders are set to meet in London on Friday at a Coalition of the Willing Summit, while European heads of state will convene in Brussels on Thursday to discuss further sanctions on the Kremlin and strategies to use frozen Russia's central bank assets to support Ukraine financially. Favor Kolawole reporting for BeeTv News.
Zamfara State Governor Daud Lawal has emphasized the importance of collective responsibility in tackling banditry, kidnapping, and all forms of insecurity in the state. He noted that although attacks in communities have declined, greater efforts are still needed for everyone to completely eliminate the threats. During the state's Executive Council meeting, Governor Daud Lawal reminded all stakeholders that combating insecurity in Zamfara State is a shared responsibility of his administration. He emphasized that the fight against insecurity requires collective efforts. The meeting also addressed other critical issues, including security, education, health, and infrastructural development. Additionally, Governor Lawal urged council members to promote strong working relationships and collaboration with other political appointees and elected officials to ensure effective governance. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, has suspended its national vice chairman for the South-South, Dr. Usani, over an alleged violation of the party's constitution. The decision was made following a meeting of the State Working Committee of the ADC Cross River State Chapter. In a statement released today, the party's state publicity secretary stated that Dr. Usani's recent action were not in line with the provision of the ADC constitution. The statement explained that the State Working Committee, SWC, extensively deliberated on several petitions and reports accusing the party's vice chairman of engaging in anti-party activities in subordination to constituted authority and other actions capable of damaging the image and electoral prospects of the ADC. As part of efforts to combat environmental degradation and mitigate the effects of climate change, the Niger Delta Development Commission, in partnership with the Foundation for Sustainable Development Option, has launched a public awareness campaign highlighting the importance of tree planting. The initiative, which brought together pupils and students from various schools in Delta State, aims to inspire a culture of environmental sustainability among young people.
The tree planting exercise by the Niger Delta Development Commission is aimed at sensitizing residents across the 9 Niger Delta states on the need to restore the earth through tree planting. The initiative has become essential in protecting the environment against carbon emissions, as emphasized here by the agency.
Trees are essential in preservation of the environment by way of absorbing carbon dioxide emissions, and this goes a long way to mitigate the effects of greenhouse gases on our environment.
Because the more trees we have, the more they will be able to extract carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through the process of photosynthesis. And so this program that is being sponsored by the Niger Delta Development Commission is a very welcome development.
The campaign also encourages individuals to cultivate the habit of tree planting, as trees play a vital role in maintaining ecological balance and safeguarding the environment.
Everybody have been enjoying as you go, whatever space you have, whatever space you represent, plant a tree. As you commemorate an event in your life, childbirth, milestone achievement, plant a tree.
We need to plant trees. We need to plant, not just planting, but we need to nurture those trees, because trees have the capacity to absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere.
For us not to have poverty, that is ravaging today, we can start planting trees, especially food trees. We have food trees, we have those ones for fruits, we have those ones that give us food. So every individual is a collective call to action.
Participants, including school children, expressed excitement as being part of the global effort for greener planet.
There are different disasters that are going on that are causes because of lack of trees in our environment. Yesterday, I planted a tree and it was a very, very nice experience.
The highlight of the event was the symbolic planting of trees. Zainab Mohammed reporting for BeeTv News.
Government institutions that generate their own revenue have been engaged by the National Health Insurance Authority to help ensure that every Nigerian have access to quality healthcare through insurance. According to the agency, this initiative is part of ongoing efforts to enforce compliance with the new mandatory health insurance law. Following the announcement of the National Health Insurance Act in 2022 and the presidential directive that makes health insurance compulsory for all citizens, enrollment rose to over 21 million by August this year. To push the increase further, the National Health Insurance Authority has brought together representatives of self-funding government agencies to drive home one message: compliance with the mandatory health insurance law is no longer optional.
That was a presidential circular, right, saying that health insurance is now mandatory. And that's a call for action for NHIA. And for us, we need to engage stakeholders to let them know what mandatory health insurance means and how we can actually, through institution, ensure that we enforce this mandate. That will, take us to universal health coverage for all Nigerians.
Before now, coverage was relatively stagnant for decades, but some participants at this one-day sensitization workshop in Abuja say this is about to change.
For all the MDAs, for their enrollees, that means every staff should be registered. It's not optional that you are a staff and you're working for federal government. You must be registered, and then you should be able to access whenever you go to the hospital. The right drugs should be given, correct drugs should be given, original drugs should be given, because most times staff come back to complain.
With the new compliance drive, the NHIA hopes to bring Nigeria closer to achieving universal health coverage, where access to quality healthcare is no longer a privilege but a right. Evelyn Isabella reporting for BeeTv News. And now reading from the business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has released a draft guideline aimed at strengthening customer protection during automated teller machine ATM transactions. The guideline proposes a maximum refund period of 24 hours for on-us transaction, those processed within the same bank, and 48 hours for not on-us transactions involving other banks. Let's join BeeTv News Temitope Oluwafemi for details from the business world.
The document outlines stricter protocols for transaction, processing, reconciliation, and refund timelines, mandating faster and more transparent fund reversal procedures for failed ATM transactions. The CBN also proposes the enforcement of robust security features across ATMs nationwide, including camera surveillance, anti-skimming devices, and physical security measures. Additionally, the draft guideline seeks to improve service availability by limiting downtime, ensuring proper maintenance, and requiring accessibility compliance. The Bank Customers Association of Nigeria, BCAN, has endorsed the proposal, aligning with the CBN's objective to strengthen consumers' rights and streamline compliance resolution in the banking system. CORE leads digital transition of microfinance banks at NAB's 20th anniversary. CORE, a leading fintech infrastructure provider, has been announced as the headline sponsor of the 20th anniversary of the National Association of Microfinance Banks, NAM, reinforcing its commitment to advancing digital transformation in Nigerian microfinance sector. The partnership highlights CORE's role in accelerating operational digitization, payment efficiency, and customer experience across over 600 financial institutions, processing more than 200 650 million transactions monthly, managing 155 billion naira in customer balances and facilitating 150 billion naira in monthly loans. Through its flagship platform, Bank One, Core offers enterprise-grade banking infrastructure, opens APIs and integration services to support microfinance banks in transitioning from manual operations to scalable digital-first models. These efforts align with the broader goal of deepening financial inclusion and operational resilience in the microfinance space. The NAM at 20 celebration serves as a platform for knowledge exchange, strategic planning, and showcasing innovation aimed at shaping the next phase of inclusive finance in Nigeria. Core is also offering free consultation and digital readiness assessments for institutions during the event. Nigeria imports 377.5 million liters of petrol despite local refinery surge. Nigeria consumes 613.62 million liters of premium motor spirits (PMS) between October 2024 and October 10, 2025, according to data from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority (NMDPRA). Of this volume, 377.54 million liters, representing 63%, were imported, while 236.8 million liters, representing 37%, were supplied by domestic refineries. The data indicates that imported fuel continues to dominate Nigeria's petrol supply chain, despite increasing output from local refineries such as 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery. Domestic petrol production has shown marked growth, rising from 9.62 million liters per day in October 2024 to 18.93 million liters per day by October 2025, nearly doubling within a year. The continued reliance on imports, despite being the largest crude oil producer in Africa, highlights structural and policy challenges in achieving fuel self-sufficiency. Industry stakeholders are urging the federal government and relevant regulators to create policies that guarantee 100% crude oil access for local refiners, which is expected to lower pump prices and enhance fuel availability. Temitokwe Oluwafemi reporting for BeeTv News.
And lastly, on today's news on the hour, Nollywood actress Vonnie Jegede has come under publicly scrutiny following her remarks supporting fellow actress Regina Daniels amid an alleged marital crisis involving her husband, Ned Nwoko, Nigerian businessman and politician. The report. Jegede posted on her Instagram platform advising Daniels to prioritize the safety and mental health being in light of unverified reports of domestic abuse within the marriage. Her comments were interpreted as a call for Daniels to leave the union if violence was indeed present. The post triggered a wave of reactions online, with critics accusing Jegede of interfering in a private matter. Others questioned her motivation, suggesting it was an attempt to insert herself into trending discussions for attention. In response, Jegede reaffirmed her stance, dismissing the criticism and standing by her public statements. As of the time of this report, neither Regina Daniels nor Ned Nwoko has issued an official statement regarding the alleged domestic issues. There is no independent confirmation of the abuse claims circulating on social media. In another development, British YouTuber and BMX athlete Ryan Taylor has shared details about his former relationship with Nigerian disc jockey and music personality DJ Copy, highlighting cultural and professional differences as factors behind their separation. In a recent podcast interview, Taylor stated that the engagement, which was made public in December 2022 after a brief period of dating, ended due to unresolved issues and conflicting values. He claimed that DJ Copy expressed reluctance to work with Nigerian personnel in some of his professional projects, which he identified as a significant source of disagreement. Taylor clarified that there was no contractual agreement such as non-disclosure clauses during their relationship, and he viewed the experience as an opportunity for personal growth. The pair's relationship, once widely publicized on social media, had sparked public attention after their unfollowing of each other on Instagram in 2023, which prompted speculation of the breakup. Neither DJ Copy nor her representatives have responded to Taylor's recent claims at the time of this publication.
Kenya-based woman Helen Ati, who previously alleged that Nigerian businessman Cubana chief priest fathered her child, has publicly demanded child support following the businessman's recent philanthropic announcements. Cubana chief priest, during a visit to Clifford University in Abia State with artist Davido, pledged to sponsor the tuition of 50 students at the institution. In a video shared online, Ati reacted to the announcement, insisting that her alleged child with Cubana chief priest be included among the scholarship beneficiaries. She stated that the child is scheduled to begin school in the upcoming academic year and urged the businessman to fulfill what he describes as his financial responsibility, regardless of pending DNA test results. Ati also threatened to escalate the matter to the Nigerian embassy in Kenya if her demand for child support is not met. The dispute between the two parties dates back several months, with Cubana chief priest denying paternity of the child. There is no confirmed DNA evidence at this time, and legal proceedings, if any, have not been made public. Evelyn Izibili reporting for BeeTv News.
And that is the size of a news package on the News on the Hour. I am Evelyn Izibili. Good afternoon and have a blessed day.